So I thought I will gonna speak about childhood trauma, as at the moment I feel I am ready to talk about it, and it will be purely, that will be really my personal experience, and it can be a very sensitive topic for someone. So if you are not ready to hear a bit bad and nasty things, then maybe don't watch it. But that will be really personal things what I will gonna tell here in this video. So when I started to look for my faults and reasons why I was choosing certain people in my life, at first I was like looking only on a surface level. Well, I thought it's something insignificant why I was choosing them, but there was like during last half of year I finally got to the point when I dig really deep in myself, and I got to the point where I understood that my childhood trauma, what I needed to heal, starts really in a long past. And it was at the time when my mom was married for the first time. That wasn't my father. So so it's clear. My father, my real father, never was in my life, so I have no idea how he looks, what ways he is. I have even no idea if he's alive still. So it's, in a way, I don't associate any childhood trauma towards him because he never been in my life, so it's nothing to do with that. But my mom's first husband and her relationship with him clearly shows many signs why everything happened how it happened with me in certain times in my life. So the man she was dating at first, from what she told me, at first he was really loving, really nice. How she said, he was literally holding her in the hands, really helpful. He was like doing everything for her, and it seemed like one of the greatest persons ever. That's why my great grandma, when my mom said what sort of person he turned out, she couldn't just believe that, because she couldn't accept the fact that he could be different, because quite often there are people, well, let's put it that way, I don't know either because my mom said that probably it's in his history as well, that either he was bipolar or he had schizophrenia, or I don't know what sort of mental health issues he had, or it was just the way how he was and he was just a narcissist, or heck knows. I haven't met him since, and I don't just blame him for everything what happened. It's just like life, what it was. So until they got married, he was the most greatest person in the whole wide world. He took care about me, he took care about my mom, and everything seemed so perfect. So, and back in USSR, there was times if you don't, like, if you are not married, you can't live in someone else's household. It's like there was just sort of signing thing, like whenever only you get married, then you can sign that person like in that household. If you are not married, they are not, like, they don't live there. Literally, that's my mom's opinion, was that he was doing all that just to get married, to get signed in the house. And many people still in Russia are doing the same. They just try to find someone to get married so they can be, for example, from the capital. Everyone is trying to get in a capital, and then when they get in a sign in the household, it's really hard to get them out just because you are married and everything else. Never mind that. But the idea was, till marriage, he was like the most perfect person on the whole wide world. And when they got married, he turned completely upside down. Suddenly he wasn't doing anything. Suddenly he became really reckless, abusive, and really nasty person. He started to drink a lot and partying a lot and things like that. I can really put the parallels about my life experiences in this case. At first, when I meet people or person, they give this nice, loving, really caring impression about them, and then at some point it's like click, and they become really like non-committal, and they don't care. They just start to like cheat on you or do whatever they want, and they just don't even consider your feelings or anything else. But the main point is that would be just one thing, but he did abuse me, like not sexually, no, but he every time because my mom was working in a night shift back then, and every time when I stayed at home with only him, when she was coming back, one time she came back, I had like a big hole in my head over here, like bleeding hole. And when she asked how it happened, he said that I fell into, no, I sort of just fell off the chair. How the hell? But when was asked more, how did I hit my head or something, he couldn't give a reasonable explanation to that. So heck knows how I got that. Another time I had my broken elbow, and excuse was that I fell inside a bath. Really, 2-year-old child, when they fell inside the bath where they can't break their bones because bones are so soft at that age that it's not that easy to break a bone. Another thing, what's like a glimpse from my memories, the most clearest one was because we had this crib, with the bars, and because I always have been really tiny, and I remember as now I couldn't get out of the crib. I wanted to go to toilet, and he was sleeping, and I just asked him, can he get me out? Like I was like crying and asking that I wanna toilet, and he shouted on me. He tied my hands and legs with a belt, and he was pulling my hair and shouting at me that I am a bad child, not letting him sleep and things like that. That's the only glimpse of memory from that times what I have like towards me specifically. And my mom, I don't know what happened after. I don't remember anymore. That's just a one small glimpse of my memories, what's probably subconsciously still is alive in me. And the only confirmation that something like that could have happened, because when she came back home, she was like rubbing my hair, and suddenly there was like a bunch of hair coming out of my head, and she couldn't understand why it is that way. And as a child, I was 2-year-old, what could I explain to her? I barely talk back then. 2-year-old, like we just started to talk, and I couldn't say anything really. I was just crying on that moment, and my mom just couldn't understand what was going on. So I think what happened next with him, that's insignificant story to the rest of it. No, I will gonna mention that so you know what sort of person he was afterwards. But my point was that subconsciously it just went deep inside, like 2-year-old child. That's my subconsciousness what soaked in the idea you are not good enough, you are bad for troubling people. That's why I always have been shy. As funny as it is, I am quite shy person. Maybe not now anymore that much, but I was long time really shy. I was always apologizing about everything. I was like really insecure about many things what I was doing because I wasn't sure if I'm not doing something wrong. So literally that was like whatever, and that abusive type of relationship obviously have sat deep inside me that that's how it should be. At first it should be great, and then it's a normal thing when something goes wrong. That's why so long time I was taking that as a normal thing, unless I started to realize that no, that's not normal, that's wrong. And so to know how that person was, so you know how bad actually that person was. He tried to rape my mom's sister when she was pregnant, and but my mom stopped him from doing this, luckily. And the thing is, because he was attacking many times my mom's sister, because we lived in the same house on that time, it was tough times. Everyone was like squeezed, like I don't know, like fishes in a small bowl. And I remember, and quite often we were coming home and he was laying in a staircase completely drunk, and it's like me and my cousin, we were all the time scared of him non-stop. We were just, whenever we saw him, it was like a horror movie. We always tried to hide and everything else. And I remember they as now how we got rid of him, because my mom wanted to divorce him, but he never gave a divorce, simply because it was really comfortable for him to live the way how he lived. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. He didn't bother about anyone. So one night there was like a ring, the doorbell rang, and when we opened the door, the police came in and they arrested him because he raped some girl in a factory where he worked, and he got in a jail. And while he was in a jail, that's when my mom could get a divorce, and that's literally how we got rid of him. So luckily, so that was like short story about my childhood trauma. And the thing is, like, as silly as it sounds, second husband, my stepdad, of my mom, like second husband of my mom, my stepdad, and father of my sisters, he was the same at first. He not exactly the same. I mean, there was different issues. He were not abusive, but the fact was, like, he at first was the same, loving, caring, going, always taking care about mom and about me, and well, towards me and my sisters, he most of the time he was all right. But his problem was when they got married, he suddenly started to drink a lot. At first it wasn't that much, but with the years it got worse and worse, and sort of, you know how it is to live in family where one person is alcoholic. That makes you codependent from that particular problem as well. So therefore, in my life, my first relationship with a guy, he in a way, he had a drinking problems too, and my ex has drinking problems as well. So, but when I started to notice with my ex that he has drinking problems, that was one of the reasons why I decided to stop relationship with him. At first I was trying just because of my child, just to sort of save the family, if we can say that. It's nothing wrong. We all want to save families, but because I saw that it goes worse rather than better, that's why I decided. And he was cheating as well, so that was another reason why I decided to stop everything and just live with me and my kids, because my kids are my priority, and they always will be. In this case, I will, because they depend from me, so I don't want them put in a position that they see their mom and their dad non-stop arguing, shouting at each other, or mom is most of the times unhappy, crying and sad and things like that. So this is why I decided to stop it, so my kids don't get that sort of childhood trauma, and they don't think that it's a normal thing to live in relationships where both parents are constantly unhappy, and that's just a normal way of living. Or if there is like in other relationships, parents non-stop are arguing, even fighting, like, and they get like even hit and even harsher things, and people keep on staying in those relationships for the sake of children, when actually they are doing a huge damage to their kids just because they can't get out of something. I'm not talking about relationships where it's really hard to get out, because quite often it's even worst case scenario when you are nearly like a slave in that house and you are not even let out of the house. It's different. I'm not talking about that. That's already whole different scenario, and I know how hard, I understand it's really hard to get out of these households, and good luck for those ladies if they get out. I do feel for them, but in a way this makes this codependency from abusers as well, because long time people can't get rid of this inside codependent feeling, so subconsciously they seek for someone who will gonna be again bad to them, just because they still haven't healed all the childhood trauma inside of them. So this is what I wanted to say about childhood trauma. It seems so easy to talk about it, but it's not so easy to heal it, because you first, to recognize it, you have to dig really deep inside yourself to understand from which exact point it started and how it started, and to forgive the person who did it to you, it's even harder. So it's possible, but it's really hard, and I am still working on those things as well. So yeah, I don't know what to say, but that's the point about childhood trauma. It's really harsh. I think this is one of the hardest things to heal in yourself, because the people you trust the most as a child, and they get so wrong towards you, that it's just like, I think something so hard to heal, simply because you don't understand why they did it to you. But then once again, to understand why they did it to you, you have to understand why they were the person they were. And I think this inside child is so upset that we quite often don't want to understand why they did it to you. And quite often it starts again in their childhood as well. So in a way it's like a linked thing, and we have to be brave enough to unlink that chain. So for your children and your future, everything is way much better than it was for you. I'm doing as much as I can for my kids, but we have a broken family too. But I do hope that my children will have a little bit easier life than I had. So let's hope for the better, and let's heal ourselves. I will see you on next video.